Good morning, everybody. It's Sarah, and it's time for Coffee and Crochet with Sarah. Welcome, and just in case you don't know, I live stream this video to my Posh Pooch Designs Facebook page every Tuesday, 9:30 a.m. Mountain Time. And if you're watching this live on Facebook, welcome. And if you're watching this over on YouTube later, welcome. Just a reminder though, if you're watching on YouTube, remember to like and subscribe because there's a lot of people on YouTube right now and everybody's not being able to see my videos. So if you want to be notified and want to see them, make sure you like and subscribe. And you know what else? You can share it also. Well, good morning, everybody. I see a bunch of you already clicking in here on Facebook. I'm so glad to see you this morning. Now, you know, next Sunday is Mother's Day, and it sort of crawled up and scared me. You know, I forgot about it. But my mama's already gone on to heaven, and so has my husband's mama. And so I just sort of forgot about it, and I went over to the cabinet, as I like to look through my coffee cups, see which one I'm going to use for my videos, and I found my mom mug. Now this is I don't know if you can see that for some reason. It's real, I guess because it's such a light mug. It's a really, really old mug, and I'm pretty sure I snatched this from my mom's cabinet a long time ago. I was probably over there visiting many years ago, having a cup of coffee with my mom, and I just took the cup. It's very old and I love it, but I forgot about it. So, happy Mother's Day for Monday, or for next Sunday. If you're a mama, a grandma, an oma, or maybe you don't have kids of your own, but you're a godmother or something like that. And also, happy Fur Mom Day. And don't forget to do something for your mamas this week. And make sure, especially if they are having to be separated, or you know, some of these therapy homes and stuff where they're not able to see their loved ones, give them a call. Pull out your iPad or your phone and FaceTime them. You know, I just really want to encourage you to do that because it's kind of hard to be alone, not with your family, you know, even if your family wants to. So anywho, I wanted to start with that. And welcome. Oh, I forgot. We didn't clink in. Clink in. Alrighty. So we have a lot of things to talk about today. And I wanted to go over we had talked about this before, probably about a year ago, and I wanted to go over it again. And so, because I've been getting a lot more crochet questions, because a lot more people are on YouTube and blogs and Ravelry and Etsy and learning to crochet, which I do love. I think everybody should crochet. And so I've been getting a lot of questions concerning, do I have to weave my ends in? Can I just tie a knot? Can I glue them? Can I use hot glue? Can I just stitch over them? And so I have a little demonstration I'm going to do to give you some options on that. And but really the bottom line is you have to do what works for you. you know, I always say that. We're going to talk about that, and then I'm going to show you our new crochet patterns and videos. And then that's about it. I do want to remind you though, right back there is a sign and it says, keep calm and crochet on. And that's what we have to do. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click over to my other camera. And you'll see I've got some things set up there. Let me scoot over here. And so what I'm going to do is talk to you a little bit about weaving in and other things that you can do. All right, so I just made a little swatch with this beige couple of rows of double crochet. All right, here's my tail, and that will have to be weaved in, and we'll talk about that in just a second. I'm going to cut my yarn, and I'm going to bring in a new color. And this is where the question I get all the time comes up. I'm bringing in my new color, and remember, when you're changing colors, Always do your chain 1, chain 2, chain 3 after your color change, if that is going to count as a stitch. I'm going to go ahead and make a chain 3. And the reason we do that is because if I would have gone ahead and made my chain 3 in the beige, I would have one stitch on that row that's beige, and it wouldn't be as neat. All right, so I'm going to turn. I'm going to do a row of double crochets. Chain 3 counts as the first, so I'm just going to start double crocheting. All right, now what you can do is, if this is the back of your work, before you start crocheting, you can pull those strings to the back. If it's the front, then pull those strings to the front, to this back side, because you want the front to stay neat, okay? So it depends on which side is your front and which side is the back of your project, because we're going to be stitching over those. You can take those 2 strings and go ahead and begin your double crochet and stitch over those strings. I always give them just a little bit of a pull, not too tight, just enough to keep them up there. I'll do another stitch just to show you. All right, so I've done a few double crochets, and then I'll just let those things fall. All right, but I want to show you. This is the front of our work, and it looks nice and neat. And this is the back of our work. You can see they're in there, but it's not too unpleasant. All right, now you can do that across and catch those tails of yarn, and that will eliminate having to do some weaving in over here. All right, and then come back in with your needle, and I'll thread them individually, and then weave them in and staying in the color that you're using, okay? Now, something that I find very important is you don't want to weave around the stitches, around those holes, because that's going to come out. So what's the best way that I have found is that if you go through the stitches and also go through some of those fibers, okay? And I'll go a stitch or 2 up, then I'll go up, and then I'll come right back the way that I came. And remember, this is on the back side of your work. And I like to try to leave myself enough yarn to go up, back, and then back again, making sure to stay in the stitches on the back of your work. I'm going to go ahead and cut that, and I'm going to turn this over. The front of your work stays nice and neat. The back doesn't look too bad. But what happens if I have a string that's too small? Now, if I didn't leave myself enough string, I'll go ahead and stitch across it and cover it up. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and continue my double crochet stitches across where I changed colors. All right, now I'm to the end of that tail. Well, what am I going to do with that, right? What I usually do is I'll just take my hook, I'll go back a stitch or 2, making sure I leave a couple of loops, grab that tail, and just pull it in. Okay, now, if you're worried that that tail's going to come out, depending on what you're making, you can use this glue. This is Eileen's or Aileen's No Sew fabric glue. You can put just a little dab on there, and that's going to keep that from coming out and fraying. But it depends on what you're making. If you're making a beautiful like scarf or shawl or something, you're not going to want that to show, because this is going to dry in a little hard knot. They do. They dry like a little hard ball or something, and it's just not very pretty. Okay, if you went back like I did, you can go ahead and clip that off. You've stitched across it up, and then you pulled it back in, so it's probably going to stay put. All right, now when you have an end like this, one of the questions that I was asked is, why can't I just tie a knot? Well, you end up with a little bit on the end if you tie a knot. I never ever recommend tying a knot unless it's for adding on a button or maybe an applique or something like that. All right, so what I do, especially because we began in that stitch and then we turned. Okay, we came this way, then we turned, and you've got like this little loop there at the end. You don't want that hanging off your work. All right, so we're going to thread that on, and I try to leave myself about 5 or 6 inches. It's probably more than I need to, but I would rather have a little too much than not enough. All right, and we're going to do the same thing we did up there on the first string. we're going to go in, go through some of those fibers. Then pull that through. That's going to pull that end in a little bit so it looks pretty. We'll go up a stitch, go through the fibers, go back through, and then back through. Now, I just did it there to show you. Make sure you do this on the back side of your work, and we'll go ahead and clip it. Okay? Because if you would have done it on the front side, you might have just a little bit of extra little loops in there or whatever, and it might not look as pretty. Always try to do your weaving in on the back side of your work. All right, now let's talk about just a little bit about what if you have some odd yarns, like your scrubby yarn is really hard to weave in, or maybe you've got some really thick yarn that's really hard to weave in. And I'll do the method like I did on here, where I'll pull the end back through with my hook and then pull it again underneath those stitches if I'm using a yarn that's difficult to work with. The blanket yarn is another example. It's really hard to weave that in, and so I'll do that. But if you're it depends on what you're making. To be honest with you, it really depends on what you're making. If you're making something where you're going to be adding a button, or you're just going to sew it on, go ahead and tie a knot. Or if it's a spot that's not going to be showing, like the inside of an Ami or a toy or something, and you really want to make sure that knot's going to hold, go ahead and just tie a knot. And the kind of knots that I like to do is when you're at the end, I like to fold it over and do this type of knot. Okay, and especially if it's on the inside of something like a pillow or stuffed animal, then I'll cut this, add that glue right to that tip and around that. Now remember, this takes about 20 minutes to dry. I'm pretty sure I read 20 minutes. Let me look on here. Well, I don't see it, and the writing is very small. But that's what I do. I wait about 20 minutes, and then I'll go ahead and stuff the head of the bear I'm making or whatever I'm making. Okay, so the rule of thumb really is no knots when you're doing crochet, or no knots when you're knitting or any other type of craft like this. But there is an occasion where you might need one. And if you do, like I said, I recommend this No Sew Aleene's fabric glue. You can find this at any of your craft stores like Hobby Lobby, Michael's. You can also find it at Joann's. I've bought this at Walmart also. At one time Target carried it, but I don't know if it still does. But anyway, any of your craft stores or any of your stores that have any kind of crafts will have this glue. Fabric stores will have this glue because this is a fabric glue. It works great in a pinch if the hem of your skirt's coming out, because I've used it. So anyway, I wanted to show you that. And remember, let me scoot back over here real quick. Remember what I always say. You have to do what works best for you. And every project is different. There might be a time where you're changing colors even in the middle of a row. If you're doing something that maybe has some different techniques and stripes and things in it, and you may change colors in the middle of the row. The key is always weave to the back of your project, number one. And number two, when you're weaving in, don't go through those holes of your stitches. Go in the fibers of your yarn, go one way, come back the other, and then go back the other way. And to be honest with you, if you want to test if your weave's going to hold, after you've done a weave or you've practiced a weave or two, try to take it out and see if you can get it out. If you can't get it out, you've done a great job. And I have to tell you, there's been times I've had to take it out, and I'm so mad at myself because I did such a good job, because maybe I used the wrong color, or I changed, stripe too soon or something like that, or I just made a mistake and I have to fix it. And that's so frustrating to have to pull that out, and then you're like, I'm pretty good at weaving in. Alrighty, I'm still getting used to the new Facebook way of doing things. So I'm trying to see. I see lots of clinking in. I'm so glad to see that. Alrighty, lots of new names and lots of familiar names. I just love that. And I'm so glad that you're all here. And so, are you ready to talk about what's new this week? Well, we had a little bit of fun. I at the first of the year, I decided that I was going to do a pattern tutorial on Monday. We'll have our live video on Tuesday, and then I would take a break on Wednesday and Thursday and spend that Thursday I usually spend with my granddaughter, and then Friday do another video. So I would have 2 to 3 videos a week. But with everything happening, I've been trying to do, an extra maybe pop-in video or an extra just regular tutorial video, just to keep us moving, keep us crocheting, keeping calm and crocheting on. So anyway, I did another extra video this week. And so this week's videos are kind of fun because none of them were great big videos. They're just fun. All right, so the first video that we did was our kitchen scrubbers. I absolutely love these. I just called them Scrub Off Kitchen Scrubbers. You can use scrubby yarn and cotton yarn. And these are those scrub off yarns, mix and match, that they have. This one I really like because it started with the scrubber in the middle. I've already used this one and washed it once. And so you can also do them with just cotton. And you can see the bumps on there still make it a really nice scrubber. Now I have stainless steel kitchen pans, pots and pans, and I love them. I've had them for a long time. And I switched away from I think they were called Vision, and they were glass, and I really liked them, but they stopped making them because I guess there was lead in them. And so then I went to using skillets and pots that were the non-stick, and that stuff kept coming off and I didn't like it. And so we got rid of all of those, and I got a brand new set of stainless steel. It was brand new about 10 years ago. And I still have it, and I still love that set. And these are perfect for those. I use the scrubbies. I've used this type scrubby with the scrubby yarn. And if you don't know what scrubby yarn is, I showed that to you earlier. That string off there. That's this kind of yarn. Red Heart makes it in cotton. They also make it in polyester and acrylic. And I've used some other brands, but my favorite right now, and I even ordered some more, don't tell anybody, of this, that's the Scrub Off. And I love this because it has the yarn that has the scrubby yarn and the cotton in it, and it comes up really fun. Like this one here that I really like it because it started with the cotton, and then it went to the scrubby, and as I went around, I joined, then I came back the other way. I think that's how I did it. No, these go around and around. Never mind. Anyway, I like how it ended up with the scrubby yarn right there on the side, and I've got a little scrubby spot to scrub with. And this one, of course, the scrubby is in the middle, and I've got a little spot to scrub with there. So I really, really love these yarns. And it was so funny in the video, I kept saying peaches and cream scrub off. It's actually sugar and cream scrub off. I get those two mixed up all the time. And I ordered some more. Just because I love it and it's super fun to play with and work with. All right, so that one, of course, is a brand new video and a brand new pattern. All right, now, this one here is our African flower motif. And I did this in, I think it was like 2012, I think. And it's really a super motif. We did scarves. You can put these together and make blankets. You can add them to, and you make bags and stuff like that. Anything you want to do, scarf, hat, anything, and use these to make it out of. Wouldn't it be pretty to make one of those big sweaters? Good thing to use your scraps on. Well, then I added a little loop, and I thought, oh, how pretty this is as a pot holder. Now, I do suggest that these are all acrylic yarns, and if you're going to use this as a pot holder, don't put anything hot on it if you use acrylic yarn. Because remember, acrylic yarn can get hot and burn, and it can burn you, and it can hurt your family. So you have to be careful. I do suggest, though, that if you're going to do that, because this is kind of holy, it has holes in it, I would make 2 of these, and I would put them together, and then I would do a row of single crochet around the edge, just so it's nice and thick. But you can do this in cotton as well. And I had a question, I think yesterday or the day before, one of the ladies asked me, can you interchange cotton and acrylic? You can. It just depends on the pattern, because some patterns, there needs to be drape or flow or whatever. But if it's a medium number 4 cotton and you want to replace it with acrylic, you can. If it's a medium number 4 acrylic and you want to replace it or substitute it with a medium number 4 cotton, you can. The key to having it look right is to use the same weight yarn. All right. So anyway, I think these are absolutely gorgeous. And they're also a great way to use up your leftover yarns and put them all together. I think I'm going to see if I can come up with a way to make a sweater or a shawl or something, because I just love this pattern and I hadn't done it in quite a while, and I had a request and I thought, sure. So this is a pattern that was already out there, but we did a brand new video and we updated the pattern with some new pictures online, okay? All right, now the other one we did was yesterday, and this one also I did in acrylic and cotton. Here's the cotton one. This is our cactus, hot pad, and pot holder. And then this one is done in acrylics. And then here's another one with a different color green. This one I just really love doing. It's a lot of fun. It's got the bowl, then we put a little edge here to make it look like the cactus is sitting in the bowl. And then the cactus has some front and back post stitches to give it that texture. And you can add the loop if you want to. And we got a little cactus flower. And of course, you can use different shades of green and orange and cotton. Again, if you're going to put something super duper hot, like right out of the oven or off the stove, on this, use cotton. If you're going to use it as decorations, or maybe just set it on your table to put maybe a bread basket or a bowl of tortilla chips or something like that to keep from getting your table scratched up, then acrylic is fine, or acrylic blends. And even some of the cotton blends are fine with this. Now, if you want to double it to make it thicker, make 2, put them front to back, and then do your single crochet row around the edge. All right? And that's something I just really want to really get you to remember that, because if you put things hot out of the stove or off the oven, or maybe out of the microwave, or nowadays they have like the quick dry fryers and all that stuff. If it's hot and you're taking it out and you want to set it on the counter, but you don't want to hurt your counter, make sure you use cotton. And acrylic just melts and burns, and sometimes it gets really hot and burny. I don't know if that's a word, burny, but it's not really on fire, but it's not melting, but it's warm and hot. And you can really hurt yourself, or if you've got your kids or your teenagers or whatever helping you in the kitchen, they can burn themselves as well. So I really, really, really want to reiterate that because I don't want anybody getting hurt. And I don't want to get hurt myself. And I have to tell you, I was given some placemats and pot holders when my husband and I first got married. And Norma says needs a face. Are you talking about the cactus? You can add a face. That would be adorable. So anyway, when I first got married many, many, many years ago, my husband and I were first in the Air Force. We were stationed up in Great Falls, Montana, and I was given a set of yellow, because I like yellow, 6 placemats and 6, I think there were 4 pot holders. And they were all made of acrylic yarn. Well, no one told me that they would burn. And I was making something, I can't remember what it was, probably casserole. And I pulled it out of the oven and I set it right on that thing. And I didn't think anything of it because we were in a rental house at the time and I didn't want to, mess the counters up. And so I go to move it and the hot pad burnt and stuck to the bottom of that casserole dish. And luckily I was able to peel it off after it cooled off, but the hot pad was ruined. And so, when we put a lot of work into the things that we make, we don't want to ruin them ourselves or have someone else ruin them, It's kind of like, I get a lot of questions about, can I just throw these in the washer and dryer? Well, you can, but keep in mind, if you spent hours and hours and hours making a gorgeous Afghan, and then you throw it in the wash machine, and then you throw it in the dryer, and it gets all melty and yucky because you use like a dryer on really hot, you've ruined your masterpiece. Because to me, everything that I crochet is art, and so if I'm going to spend all that time, I'm going to take the time to make sure I wash it in cold water with a little bit of vinegar, white vinegar, and on gentle, unless it's just really nasty, you know. And then I rarely ever put them in the dryer on high. I might put them on medium. And then if it's a sunny day, I'll take them outside and drape them over my deck or lounge chairs and let the sun dry them. And I just feel like if I work so hard on something, I don't want to ruin it. And I've ruined my things before, just, you know, not thinking and throwing things in. She says, I have used that sparkle yarn. I love it. Oh, okay, yeah. You can use the sparkle yarn. There even is some cotton that has sparkle in it. But you need to be aware that that sparkle yarn that's the sparkle that's going through it, that thread, is not cotton, you know, and it can get messed up. So keep that in mind. Just, you know, the thing is, just make sure you don't put something hot on it and don't put it in your dryer on high. Okay? We have to be careful because like I said over and over again, we put time and effort into making that. And something that I have done in the past is when I'm giving somebody a gift and I want to make sure it's going to last a long time, I might in that card put the label of the yarn that it was made out of and take a red or a bright purple pen or something and circle the washing instructions. And if I don't do that, I'll just write it in the card and say, make sure you don't wash this on high, or, you know, gentle cycle only, you know, so something like that. And I think people appreciate that because they know if you took the time to make something for them, then, you know, you want it to last for them. Alrighty. Well, my dogs are sound asleep. I was going to have you take a peek at them. There's Max and Rosie. There he is. He's giving you a lick. He's so funny. He doesn't have a whole lot of teeth anymore. And he doesn't have any in the front on the top or the bottom because of, you know, issues. And he'll fall asleep and his little tongue will hang out and he's so funny. Anyway, I wanted them to say hello to you all today. I was hoping they'd be a little bit more cheerful, but I guess they're sleepy. All right, well, that's all I've got for you today. I'm just so glad that you're all here today. I appreciate you all so much, and I just hope that you all are staying calm and crocheting on, like my sign says up there, because crochet can be very healing and comforting when we need to just get our mind off things. And I think that it is. It's really, really good for us. And not just crocheting, but whatever crafts that you're into, beading or knitting. And I can't do any of the needlepoint or cross stitch anymore. My hands just can't tolerate the tiny, tiny needles. But I did a lot of that when I was younger and newly married and things. I've always loved crafts. All right, now, I have one other thing I want to mention to you before we go. Besides, don't forget, Sunday's Mother's Day. But I totally forgot what I was going to say. Let me look on my notes. Oh, I was going to say thank you. Thank you for watching my videos and being a part of Posh Pooch Designs and the PPD Puppy Love group. And remember, I love to see what you make. Post it in the group. And it's a no drama llama group. We're happy. We encourage each other, and that just does my heart good. So I'm going to let you go. It's been wonderful to spend time with you guys today. And keep a smile on your face. And remember to give one away because it costs nothing. See you next week.